So the context that we hear today in the gospel is happening in the cenacle. That's the night of the Passover. And Jesus is there with his disciples. Some have experienced the resurrection of Jesus already. We see Peter, who has seen the empty tomb. We see also the disciples of Emmaus. So all are gathered together. And then Jesus, he is in their midst. Jesus is in their midst. He has been always with them. He has always been with the community. So it's not that Jesus is appearing, but Jesus is just there in the midst. But they haven't been able to see him. They haven't been able to see his presence. And when they see Jesus, they are filled with fear. We read before the gospel that we hear today, we hear that they are filled with fear. Why? Because they are thinking that they are seeing a ghost. But Luke, he wants to clarify that he's not a ghost. He is there with them. They can see him. They can touch him. He is eating with them. So, in other words, the resurrection happened. The resurrection happened, and they're able to see the risen Lord. And they are filled with fear as well, because that means that everything that Jesus was teaching is true. Everything that Jesus was teaching was true. So he is the one who has donated his life. So that means that they are also to be able to donate their lives for the well-being of other people. So if Jesus was telling that they are to love their enemies, that means that they too need to love, as Jesus did. So they had to now follow everything that Jesus was teaching them. And so God is not, and one of the things that Jesus was teaching is God is not the highest, but he is the lowest. He's always with his people. Now with the resurrection, Jesus has transcended time and space. So he's risen. He's fully present. He's fully present. In other words, he's always with us. After the resurrection, he was always with them. There is no limitations for Jesus. So he can be present always. And he's close to us always. So they are able to see that Jesus is with them. So they are strengthened in their faith. And then Jesus is recalling them the scriptures. He's telling them, remember all what is written, that the Messiah had to suffer and be crucified and then be risen on the third day. So becoming familiar with the scriptures. But the scriptures tell us who Jesus is. So all the Old Testament is the revelation of Jesus, the one who was to come. So everything is fulfilled in Jesus. He is the Messiah. He is the Lord. So as Christians, we are to look at him. He is the one that we are following. So the importance of becoming familiar with the scriptures, discerning the scriptures, and that's the way that we can take Christ into our hearts. And they are to be witnesses. The apostles are to be witnesses of what they have seen. The fulfillment of all the prophecies are in Jesus. So they are to be witnesses of that. And in other words, they are to embrace all the teachings of Jesus, as we are called to embrace these teachings as well. But Jesus has taught us, and to live as he lived, to work as he worked, to resemble the face of Jesus to other people. And only when we embrace the gospel, this world is going to change. Sometimes we ponder why sometimes it's kind of hard to see Christ in a stranger, in a foreigner, or in the poor, or the ones who are struggling. Because we have not taken the gospel into heart. We haven't taken the gospel into heart. Why there are wars? Why there is violence, hatred? Because we have not taken the gospel into our hearts. And if we take the gospel into our hearts, then we'll be able to see Christ in the others. And then we'll be able to serve them and to make ourselves present to them and to love as Jesus did. That's the call for the Christian, to love, to serve, to sacrifice, to donate our lives as Jesus did. So we are the followers of Jesus. We are to do the same. We are to love in the same way. And then Jesus is taking his disciples to Bethany. When you go to Bethany, you have to go through Gethsemane. And in Gethsemane is where Jesus, he had to experience that encounter with his Father that was demanding him to go and donate his life on the cross. So in Gethsemane is where he is sweating blood, where he is suffering greatly because what is coming, and he decides to go and donate his life. So it's like a reminder for the followers of Jesus that we are to do the same. Sometimes we endure difficult moments, trials, and sometimes for being Christians, we can be persecuted as well. And that's what Jesus is telling us. We are to continue to walk as he did, as he did. So that's the reminder that we are to love as he loved. And then finally they make it to Bethany. Bethany is where the friends of Jesus were. Lazarus, Martha, and Mary. He used to go on his day off and just spend time with his family, to be there with them. Well, that resembles the Christian community. All of us. So where Jesus can be welcomed. The importance of the Christian community welcoming Jesus. And that's where we find our brothers and sisters. They are not the strangers, but they are our brothers and sisters. That's where we in the Christian communities where we can find those who are in need, the poor, those who are struggling. And that's where we can help each other. And that's where we can support each other to resemble the Christian community. And then Jesus, when he is there with them, he raises his hands and he blessed them. That's what we receive from God always. Even if we don't love God, even if sometimes we go the opposite way than what He's asked of us, He blesses us. There is no human being that has not received a blessing from God. He blesses the good and the bad alike. He makes His rain to fall on the good and bad. So the blessing of God is always with us, even if we have not learned how to love. That's who God is. And that's what we are called to be as well. So the Christian teaching, to love our enemies, to forgive, to sometimes let it go. Some things that we are attached to, resentments, and sometimes we have to let it go. Because that's what Jesus did. And that's what we are called to do as well. And then the Jesus is taken up to heaven in their sight. And when they see Jesus going up to heaven, they are filled with joy. Because yes, Jesus has the power over everything. He's the Lord. He has gone back to heaven. But now, even if He has gone back to heaven, He's closer to us. Because He has transcended time and space. He's close to us. And He's here to help us and to teach us how to love. And something that we are not to forget is where we are going. Where we are going. Because the distractions that we have in our society today sometimes might prevent us from looking up there and see what is important. We live in a distracted society, too much going on around us. And we can easily get distracted. But it's important that we recall ourselves where is the goal. The goal is in heaven. And sometimes we might have to go through what Jesus went through. The cross, the crucifixion, death. But not everything ended on death. He was risen and He was taken up to heaven. If we live as Christians, we know where we are going. There was a lady who was helping the priest. She was a sacristan. She was helping also cleaning the rectory. cooking a meal for the priest. And then at some point in her life, she got sick, she got cancer, and she was taken to the hospital. So when she was there, the doctor went to her room and said, "Well, lady, I don't have good news for you. You have terminal cancer. And I'm sorry to bring this news to you. And I'm so sorry what you're going through." And she said, "Well, I know where I'm going." And the doctor said, "What do you mean?" And she said, "I know where I'm going. I'm going with Christ." And she was not afraid. She was not afraid. And then the doctor said, "Lady, thank you. Thank you for taking this news like this. Thank you for having faith." And that's, as Christians, that's what we are to do, to have that faith in God. Despite what we have to face in this life, we know where we are going. So may the Lord give us that grace that we imitate Christ, even if sometimes we have to donate our lives. And one day, we know where we are going. So where the head has preceded us, we are to go as well. Amen.